So I just watched Syria devastatingly lose on penalty shootout to Iran in the Asian Cup round of 16, and we finally have the quarterfinals of one of the best, if not the best, Asian Cup in history set. And I'm finally gonna go see the tournament in a couple of days. I'm gonna be watching the quarterfinals, trying to watch every game. But today I thought, before I head out to Qatar, let's talk about the final eight. Let's talk about this Asian Cup and what it has achieved, and let's talk about who may actually win this. And the first thing on my mind before anything is thank you to Qatar for once again hosting an amazing tournament, especially when you take into account that unlike the World Cup, which they had 11 years preparation for, the Asian Cup, like, it was a few months before the World Cup that it was announced that China could not host the Asian Cup in 2023 and that Qatar would host it. So when you think about it, like, this is so last minute, but they've done an amazing job. This is the highest attended Asian Cup in history. More than 1 million fans have attended games, and I can't wait to go watch it myself. I've heard from 50 plus people how amazing the Asian Cup has been in Qatar, the organization, the fans, the vibes, everything. And I mean, if you've been watching until now, you'll know there are so many things that are going on, but unfortunately for me, I know I'm going to Qatar for the quarterfinals and I should be buzzing, and I am buzzing, but I would be more buzzing if at least one of the national teams where I'm from, or at least that I've supported all my life, is going to be there. Fortunately for me, my second country, Australia, is in the quarterfinals, so I'll be there hopefully watching them against Korea. But Lebanon, my country, we lost to Tajikistan in the last 10 minutes of the game and failed to qualify. UAE, the place I was born and bred my whole life, they lost to Tajikistan too on penalties, and I will talk about Tajikistan in a bit, who have been doing an amazing job. And yesterday, Saudi Arabia, a country that I've been close to for more than 12 years. I'm actually in right now, and I've been working in and out of Saudi Arabia for the last couple of years, and I'm just, they lost to South Korea yesterday, and it was a devastating loss. I was like watching it in the lounge with like 100 other Saudi people, and just seeing them all feel deflated after the loss was pretty bad. But we have the final eight. We've got the first match, Jordan against Tajikistan. Now, Tajikistan, this is their debut, and they have actually played well. You know, Peter Segart, their manager, has been a fantastic man himself, but like the way that this Tajikistan team has played, I wish Lebanon could play like that. And that's what I've been saying. Like, everyone says, you know, Lebanon has these issues, and I know, you know, Lebanon, we're going through a very tough phase financially, economically, politically, spiritually, in every sense. But football is a game of 11v11, and what Lebanon lack in, you know, infrastructure, what they lack in quality, what they lack in financial support, they can only make up for it with spirit, and unfortunately they didn't have that, but Tajikistan do. Tajikistan beat the 2019 and 2015 semi-finalists in the UAE. Tajikistan got the better of China. Well, they drew, but they did end up getting the better of China. Like, I think in that match they did much better. So it's going to be interesting to see if Tajikistan can make the semi-finals, because they face, with all due respect, and I will say this, on paper, the easiest of teams. And I think Tajikistan and Jordan actually drew 1-1 in the World Cup qualifiers last year. So Tajikistan know how to play against Jordan. And at the same time, while Jordan have shown amazing spirit and amazing tactical ability in this tournament, they are easier to play against than the Australias, the South Koreas, the Irans, the Japans. Maybe Uzbekistan is the only other team that I would put on that level. But I still think Jordan will go through. I still think Jordan have been doing very well, right? They were very unfortunate, like, to drop points against Bahrain. I know you can go ahead and say that they lost on purpose or whatever. It is what it is. This is football. I don't think anybody deliberately wants to lose. I think, you know, to be the champion, you have to beat the best teams anyways. Like, if they ran away from Japan before, as people are saying, I mean, they'll end up facing Japan at some point, or Iran, or South Korea, or Australia, and those are all hard teams. But I think prediction for Jordan and Tajikistan, I think Tajikistan will definitely score. But I ultimately think this will go to penalties. It'll be 1-1. And Jordan will go through and make their first semifinals. And reminding us of that 2004 team that was great. And then you've got Australia against South Korea. Now, South Korea haven't looked too great. They really showed up in the last part of their match against Saudi Arabia, but they really haven't looked out of this world until now. But neither have Australia. And Australia have had a pretty, I don't want to say easy group, but India didn't look too great. Uzbekistan haven't been so strong, in Syria, while they did reach the round of 16 and almost beat Iran, I don't think they've like, you know, again, the third place where you actually qualify because you're the best third place. Like, Syria only scored 1 goal from open play in 4 games. And so I don't think Syria are really that big of a threat on Australia's defense. Now, obviously, Australia are going to be playing Lee Kang-in, Son Heung-min. I think it's going to be a hard one. And I think it's going to be one of those cautious games for sure. But I think ultimately, I think South Korea win. I think South Korea win 1-0. And South Korea face Jordan in the semifinals. And then you go to Japan against Iran. Now, Iranian fans, I've seen, a lot of my friends are saying that they don't like this national team. A lot of short-termism there. They're not playing to the best of their abilities. They don't like Ghanoui's team. And I mean, Iran have done well, relatively. Like, they beat Palestine. They did well against the UAE. And they beat Hong Kong. But obviously against Syria, you know, when you end up going down to 10 men, I think they could have done more to break them down. But they face Japan now, and Japan, I mean, they were threatened by Vietnam. They lost to Iraq, and they went through comfortably against Indonesia. But and they beat Bahrain too, who I don't think, funnily enough, they finished top of their group, but I don't see Bahrain as one of the stronger teams. I always thought they would be like one of the dark horses, but Bahrain, I think when they end up actually facing a team like Japan or South Korea, they don't have the technical ability to match them, nor do they have the spirit. So I don't think we've seen Japan play a tough team per se besides Iraq. And obviously, I mean, Iraq, what do we say about Ayman Hussein's red card, right? I mean, it's a damn shame we're not seeing Iraq take the... I think they genuinely would have won the championship if they didn't lose Ayman Hussein. I think they were really just a top team. And then, you know, you got to remember, like, when your striker, when your top scorer of 6 goals gets red carded like that, right or not right, you're gonna, like, it's gonna mentally affect you. Like, you're gonna be sitting down for the next 15 minutes, at least in the back of your head, like, how do we lose our striker? How are we not gonna have him in the quarterfinals if we qualify, you know? But that's a story for another time, because we're only talking about the 8 quarterfinalists. So Japan and Iran is also going to be one of those cautious games for sure, which is why I don't like 2 big teams to face each other. I mean, you know, obviously, if a big team faces a smaller team, you've got this sort of park the bus against the tiki-taka and whatever. But the 2 big teams, I feel like they're overly cautious. They know their technical abilities. They know what they can do, and they don't do it based on spirit. Like, I'll give you an example. Tajikistan, if they face Japan, right, they're going to put everything on the line to play against them. But when it's Iran against Japan, they both know that they're at similar levels. They're World Cup teams. And so none of the teams are going to really overdo the spirit. They're going to try to be as tactical and organized as possible. And so, you know what I mean? Like, I think, yeah, I think Japan go through, because you'll see where I'm getting to. I think Japan and South Korea, 2 teams that everyone thought they were going to be eliminated early, I think they're going to meet in the final. But then we go to the 4th quarterfinal, which is Qatar against Uzbekistan. Now, I think Qatar win here. Qatar have been great. Qatar are on home ground. Uzbekistan are a good team, but I think Uzbekistan, I've always ranked them as like they're a quarterfinalist team in Asia. They're always a quarterfinalist team. They made the semifinals in Qatar in 2011, but they've always more or less been a quarterfinalist team. They've never really threatened to become champions. They're one of the better upper teams in Asia. Like, I put them in the top 12, but I don't really see them reaching the final 4. So then you've got Jordan against South Korea, and you've got Japan against Qatar. Now, Qatar beat Japan in the final of the 2019 Asian Cup, and Qatar are on home ground here. But I think we see the Japan-South Korea final. As much as I would love to see Qatar and Jordan in the final, right? I want a different type of final. But Japan and South Korea in the final, and then South Korea finally win the trophy after 64 years of not winning it. And yeah, I think that's like a pretty interesting story to see, even though for me, South Korea, Japan, they're great teams and you love watching them play, even though Klinsmann's Korea is, you know. But South Korea and Japan, I think, is a pretty interesting one to see. By the way, I can't believe when I talked about Bahrain, I didn't tell you. Like, this is a Manama t-shirt from Bahrain. I was in Bahrain last month and I bought it from there, so it was nice for this video and everything. But it's crazy that I didn't even mention it in the time. But yeah, I think we see Japan and South Korea in the final, but I would love to see Jordan in the final. Again, I'm half Australian, so... And you might ask, where's your Australian accent? Yeah, I didn't live in Australia. I was born and bred in Dubai, so... my accent is more international than it is Aussie. but I'm not Aussie. But if we want, we can fucking speak, you know. I bloody think we can beat South Korea. But Jordan, I think they make it. They've got an easy path to the semi-final. But I think if they face Australia, Jordan beat Australia in 2019. So I think Jordan, if they face Australia, they reach the final. But if they face South Korea, they don't. But then again, I think Tajikistan would also, like, for me, whoever from Jordan, Tajikistan, I honestly would love to see them win the trophy. Yeah, I just it would be a great story, man. You need those types of stories every once in a while. And I don't want to see Japan get their 5th title. Like, not for anything, but it's just I hate when teams get so many titles. Like, I love watching Japan. I love Japan. But just, guys, let someone else win it this time, you know? And yeah, I've been with you, Coralius, and yeah, I don't know honestly what this account is going to be about, but I think I really need to tap into my sports side because that's what I am. I'm a social media expert in the sports field, a former football analyst, and I guess, you know, we can be here from time to time. I know Asian football. I watch the Saudi League. I'm a Saudi League content creator in like a parallel universe, and so yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know your predictions down below. Who do you think is going to win the Asian Cup? Or actually, give me the quarterfinal, semifinal, and then final predictions. That'll be pretty cool, yeah?